The story begins not in the present, but 15 years ago, in a modest apartment in Brooklyn where happiness still lived. The walls were painted a warm yellow, and through the windows, the morning sun painted golden squares on the hardwood floor. In this simple home, a family existed, imperfect, struggling, but bound by love that seemed unbreakable. Michael Davidson stood at the kitchen counter, his shirt sleeves rolled up to his elbows, carefully spreading peanut butter on wheat bread. He was 32 years old then, with kind eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled, and hands that worked construction but moved with surprising gentleness. His dark hair was always slightly messy, no matter how much he tried to tame it, and there was a boyishness to his face that made people trust him instantly. "Daddy, you're cutting it wrong," a small voice piped up from behind him. Michael turned to see his daughter, Lily, standing in the doorway of the kitchen. She was only 7 years old, wearing her favorite purple pajamas with stars on them, her dark curly hair an absolute riot around her face. She had inherited her mother's eyes, deep brown, almost black, with flecks of gold that caught the light, and his smile. "What do you mean I'm cutting it wrong?" Michael asked, feigning offense. "I've been making your lunch for 2 years now." Lily walked over with the seriousness only a child can muster and pointed at the sandwich. "You have to cut it diagonal, Daddy. Rectangles are boring. Triangles taste better." Michael laughed, the sound filling the small kitchen like music. "Triangles taste better? Who told you that?" "Everybody knows that," Lily said with the absolute confidence of childhood wisdom. "Ask Mama." As if summoned by her name, Elena Davidson appeared in the doorway. She was beautiful in the way that sunlight is beautiful. Natural, warm, essential. Her dark hair fell in waves past her shoulders, and she wore a waitress uniform from the diner where she worked double shifts. There were shadows under her eyes that spoke of exhaustion, but when she looked at her daughter and husband, those eyes still sparkled with something precious. Hope. "Ask Mama what?" Elena said, walking over to kiss Michael's cheek and then Lily's forehead. "Tell Daddy that triangle sandwiches taste better than rectangle ones," Lily demanded. Elena caught Michael's eye and fought back a smile. "Well, baby, I think Daddy's rectangles taste just as good." "Traitor," Lily muttered, but she was grinning. This was their morning ritual. Simple, beautiful, the kind of mundane perfection that people don't recognize as precious until it's gone. Michael would make Lily's lunch while Elena got ready for her shift at Gloria's Diner on Fifth Avenue. Lily would critique his sandwich-making skills. They would laugh. Elena would kiss them both goodbye. Michael would walk Lily to the bus stop, then head to whatever construction site needed him that day. It was a life built on a foundation of paycheck-to-paycheck survival, but it was theirs, and it was enough. "I have a surprise for you, little bird," Elena said, using her special nickname for Lily. She had called her that since she was a baby because Lily had the most beautiful singing voice. Even as an infant, her cries had a musical quality that made strangers stop on the street. "What surprise?" Lily asked. Elena reached into her bag and pulled out a small rectangular case. When she opened it, a simple silver necklace lay inside, with a tiny pendant in the shape of a music note. "Oh, Mama!" Lily breathed, her small hands reaching for it with reverence. "I've been saving for 3 months," Elena said softly, glancing at Michael. He knew what that meant. 3 months of skipping lunch, of taking extra shifts, of saying no to every small comfort. "I wanted you to have something special," Elena said softly, "something that reminds you that you have the most beautiful voice in the world." Michael felt his throat tighten. They couldn't afford this. They could barely afford groceries. But looking at his wife's face, the pure joy of being able to give their daughter something beautiful, he said nothing. How could he? This was love in its most distilled form. Elena fastened the necklace around Lily's neck. The little girl ran to the bathroom mirror to admire it, her squeals of delight echoing through the apartment. "We can't," Michael started to say quietly. "I know," Elena interrupted, her voice firm but gentle. But sometimes we can't is exactly why we should. She deserves beautiful things, Michael. She deserves to know she's precious. Michael pulled his wife close, kissing the top of her head. You're amazing, you know that. I'm tired, Elena said honestly, sagging against him for just a moment. But I'm happy. As long as I have you two, I'm happy. If they had known what was coming, if they had known that this moment was one of their last as a complete family, would they have held on tighter? Would they have said more? Would Michael have skipped work that day and just stayed home with his girls? But that's the cruel thing about tragedy. It never announces itself. It just arrives. The trouble started small, the way most disasters do. It started with Elena's cough. At first, it was nothing, just a tickle in her throat. She blamed it on the air conditioning at the diner, on the changing weather, on anything but what it actually was. But over the course of 3 months, the cough got worse. Then came the fatigue that no amount of sleep could cure. Then the weight loss. Michael watched his wife fade like a photograph left too long in the sun, and the fear that gripped his heart was unlike anything he had ever known. You need to see a doctor, he insisted one night after Lily had gone to bed. Elena was on the couch, wrapped in a blanket despite the summer heat, shivering. We can't afford a doctor, Elena said, her voice hoarse. You know that. I don't care about the money. Something is wrong, Elena, really wrong. It's just a bug. It'll pass. But it didn't pass. It got worse. And when Elena finally collapsed at work, when the ambulance came and the doctors ran their tests, when the diagnosis came back, their world ended. Advanced lymphoma, stage 4. The doctors said it with the kind of clinical detachment that medical professionals develop as a survival mechanism. But Michael heard it like a death sentence, because that's what it was. How long has she been sick? The doctor asked. 6 months, maybe more. She kept saying it was nothing. If she had come in earlier, the doctor started, then stopped. What was the point? Earlier was gone. Now was all they had. The treatment plan was aggressive. Chemotherapy, radiation, hospital stays, and a cost that made Michael's hands shake when he looked at the numbers. Their insurance, the bare minimum plan his construction company offered, would cover some of it, but there were deductibles, co-pays, experimental treatments that insurance wouldn't touch, but that might save her life. Michael did the math, then did it again, then stayed up all night trying to make the impossible possible. They would lose everything: the apartment, their savings, the tiny cushion they'd built up for Lily's future. Everything. But what was everything compared to Elena's life? We'll figure it out, he told his wife, holding her hand in that sterile hospital room when she cried. I promise you, we'll figure it out. He got a second job, then a third. He worked construction during the day, hauled boxes at a warehouse at night, and drove for a rideshare service whenever he could steal a few hours. He stopped sleeping, stopped eating properly. He became a ghost of himself, running on nothing but desperate love and black coffee. Lily stayed with neighbors when Michael and Elena were both unavailable. She was 8 years old now, old enough to understand that Mama was sick, but not old enough to understand what that really meant. She still sang, constantly, her voice filling whatever room she was in with melodies that seemed to come from somewhere beyond herself. You have your mother's gift, Elena told her during one of the good days between treatments. Her hair was gone now, and she wore a colorful scarf that Lily had picked out. You promise me you'll never stop singing, little bird. Why would I stop? Lily asked, confused. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Sometimes life gets hard. Sometimes people stop doing the things they love because the world beats them down. But you can't let that happen. You have something special. Your voice it's magic, baby. It can heal people. It can make them feel less alone. Like I make you feel less alone? Exactly like that, Elena whispered, pulling her daughter close. The treatments were brutal. Elena got sicker before she got better. But there were moments, brief, shining moments, where it seems like she might actually beat this thing. Days where she could sit up, could laugh, could be herself again. Michael allowed himself to hope. It was a mistake. It happened on a Tuesday. Tuesdays would forever be ruined for Michael after that night. He was at his warehouse job, moving boxes that seemed to get heavier with each shift, when his phone rang. The hospital. Elena had taken a turn.